You could argue first that a number of things went right with the Clinton campaign. She did carry the popular vote by 2.5 million. And her problem was that while she did better in a number of states that Obama lost, she didn't do better enough to carry them. In the meantime, her campaign failed to anticipate Trump's strength in three critical states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. In an election where at least 134 million votes were cast, 100,000 votes in those states decided all three of those states. I think, secondly, this wasn't simply a Clinton failure, but that the Democratic coalition, advocates of the Democratic Party and people who touted the Obama coalition didn't realize that that coalition to work to produce a majority needed a critical percentage of the white working class vote. It didn't need a majority, but it needed a critical percentage. And those percentages fell just enough to allow Trump to carry those states. In Wisconsin, for example, 45% of white working class voters voted for Obama. Only about 34% voted for Clinton. So I think she needed a stronger economic message. And what the polls also suggest is that among voters who disliked both Trump and Clinton, Trump actually had an advantage. And so it showed that she needed to do more to improve her own image. But you can't still get away from the fact that a 2.5 million popular vote victory is the biggest gap between candidates where the Electoral College went the other way. I'd like to see us revisit our Electoral College, although I don't see much chance of it changing anytime soon. Democrats are divided in a number of ways. They are divided first by a very traditional argument between the left and the center of the party. People like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders will be advancing an argument that neither Clinton nor Obama was sufficiently tough on Wall Street, were sufficiently tough on concentrated economic power, and they want the Democrats to have a more populist, left of center message. Others in the party will say that the party actually needs to revisit its attitudes on identity politics, in the words of some of those folks, or figure out other ways of winning back some of the white working class voters. But that's a kind of an old argument that personally I don't think will do the party all that much good. There's a second divide, I think, between Democrats who see a deep moral obligation to resist Donald Trump and those who think they can work with him on some issues. And that divide cuts across some of the ideological lines. And I think some of that will depend on how Donald Trump behaves in office. There is a great fear among a lot of Democrats that Donald Trump will not simply be a very conservative president where normal opposition would be expected, but potentially an authoritarian president where stronger resistance will be required. And I think Democrats are going to be struggling with a distinction between opposition and resistance. Where they're going to be united is on issues of preserving the core legacy of Barack Obama. So they will fight very hard against the repeal of his health care program and try to limit the damage from that. They'll fight hard, I think, against the repeal of Wall Street regulations that they passed. And I think they'll fight very hard against a Republican tax plan geared toward the very rich. On those issues, I think the party is united across all of its divides.